Welcome back. The South African Police Service in Gauteng presented its fourth quarter crime statistics covering the period from January to March 2025, while the province still accounts for a significant 26.2% to the national overall crime figures. There is a glimmer of hope with a reported 7.9% decrease in community-reported serious crimes. Let's now get some insights on these numbers and what they mean for residents across the province. We are joined in studio by the South African Police Service's Gauteng Police Commissioner, Tommy Mthombeni, who's joining us in studio. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. I was looking at, on one end, you have a double-digit figure decline on murder, around 10%. But then on the other end, a 15% increase in kidnapping. What's happening?
Good morning and greetings to viewers at home. Indeed, you're correct. In terms of a decline for murders, we had 10.8% kidnapping. There is quite an upsurge on that particular subcategory crime. What can one say is that we have to put some alert to the community so that they can assist in terms of dealing with this, because we know these crimes are committed, against the community. To say, as and when you are driving outside there, you have to be vigilant, because we're having over 1,338, of which is a hijacking or attempts thereof, and some of the high numbers is 356 robbery, where these kidnappings, the intention is to rob, and of course 144 for ransom. I must just indicate that in terms of the actions or in terms of the plan for the South African Police Service, we are of course with National Anti-Kidnapping Team, which is linked to the counterintelligence, together with our security industry, who are really assisting in terms of technology. We managed to arrest 88 people under the period review, and out of that 88 is 66 cases, and we managed to rescue, the kidnapped victims, 77 of them. So it is something which we are continuously working on it, and we really appreciate these collaborations we're having with the security industry.
Yeah. Why do you think that Gauteng has become the kidnap capital currently, if you compare it to figures from other provinces? What's happening?
The numbers is relatively high, which is a concern. As you are saying, the numbers compared to the other provinces, this province, you will know, comparatively speaking, in terms of the population, where you're having a high number of people or residents, of course, you will have quite different activities, but unfortunately, these activities not a good one. It's kidnapping, which is higher than the other provinces, because in Gauteng, you're having over 16.9 million. Comparatively speaking with other provinces in terms of the population. Though geographically, it's in terms of the square meters, we are relatively smaller.
Yeah, but I want to get into what is it, and I know that there's the population aspect around it, but there must be something that says to criminals that Gauteng has the most fertile ground for kidnapping with the purpose of ransom and sometimes also robbery.
Yeah, yes, of course. These kidnapping, where there's a high amount which is involved, I would say millions, you'll realize that it's related to the business people, of which one can attribute it in terms of saying that, or this saying which we are saying Gauteng is the economic hub. But in some other instances, the amount is lower, is ranging between 1,000 and 3,000, which happens within, the mode of transport where people are committing.
Yeah. I want to ask you also about because on one end, it is the crime that is committed, the police then investigates, and then you have the NPA that will then come in, take over the case, and the matter then gets prosecuted. From the Gauteng police side, when it comes to your working relationship with the NPA. How would you describe that in terms of trying to deal with crime in the country? Because we know that a conviction is also believed to be a deterrent.
Yeah. NPA, we have to note that it's a government department, it's our sister department, and as I always say, and I always say this, the whole government approach which have been approved by government in 2022 in March, you look on the 6 pillars, there's a criminal justice system, of which in that context, you have in the South African Police Service accepting the case, investigating, putting the evidence together, then it goes to court. Court, where these cases have been worked thoroughly, and then you have a conviction, and ultimately you go for corrections. So we are indeed having some forums, and we are in a close collaborations with the NPA. I can proudly say in Gauteng, you are Advocate Chauke in South Gauteng, for example, and Advocate Mzinyati in North Gauteng. We are very close and collaborating.
So you wouldn't say that there are any challenges that you are currently facing?
Challenges will be there,
what are those?
As you know, but those challenges, and then we happen to iron them out. I'll give an example in terms of sometimes placing these case dockets on the roll. You'll find that in some other instances, when we're placing the case docket on the roll, the interaction with the NPA, they'll indicate to say, you should have done 1, 2, 3, will not be in a position to place this case docket on the roll. So those issues, we thresh them out in terms of the forums which we are having, and it's active forums which we are having.
Yeah, and then what about the presiding officers? Now speaking about the judges and the magistrates, I remember previously a point that was raised by the former Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, was that police would make the arrest, but then the judges and the magistrates would then release the suspects on bail. And the reason that I bring that up is because of the Olorato Mongale case. Philangenkosi Makhanya, as well as Bongani Mthimkhulu, were arrested before and were due to appear at the Brakpan Magistrates Court. But they were released, of course, on bail and went on to commit other crimes, allegedly so. What's your take around how presiding officers are dealing with criminal matters that come before them?
I would say it differs from case to case as we present what we have collected or the evidence which we place before the court. If the presiding officer is not satisfied, he will apply his mind openly. In respect with the case in Brakpan, we presented the facts, and ultimately the person was granted bail. He was granted a bail of 5,000, and he was supposed to appear in court on the 3rd, of which the duly processes in terms of a criminal justice system have unfolded. So presiding officer, they apply their mind based on what is presented before them.
Yeah. Does it make it difficult, though? Because on one end, as we say, that the person is arrested, appears before court, the presiding officer, as you say, follows the legal prescript. The person is then released, and the person goes on to commit other crimes, allegedly.
Yeah, yes, of course. When the matter on hand is dealt with, unfortunately, even though I'm commenting on behalf of the presiding officer, you cannot predict as to say this particular individual coming out after looking on those factors or facts, this particular individual is going to commit crime. So it is something which is difficult to can predict, to say the presiding officer, the judicial officer is sitting on this matter, and facts before him or her, and ultimately a decision is taken. You cannot predict to say when this particular person is released on a bail, ultimately 1 hour or 2 hours or a day after this particular individual is going to commit crime.
Yeah. Okay. Bongani Mtimkulu, one of the accused in that matter. How far are you with getting him?
Well, what I can say to the South Africans is that we are on his tail, if one can use this language, and we are closely moving towards this particular individual of whom we are looking for. As we have put the competent team working closely together, and of course collaborating with the other province, your KwaZulu-Natal. As you know, some of the people, they don't necessarily stay in Gauteng, or they come here by visit, or they stay in Gauteng, they also stay in other provinces. So we're having that collaboration. So hence, previously, we had that incident which unfolded in KwaZulu-Natal.
Okay, and back to the crime stats. Sexual offences reduced by 2.1%. Gender-based violence, a major issue in the country, especially also when it comes to these sexual offences. But children also being victims of these offences. Speak to us about what the stats are telling us.
Yeah, well, sexual offences, it is a worrying factor. One could say that in terms of sexual offences, we had some numbers, going down, of which it has been reduced by 2.1%. But I must indicate that the programs which were unfolding in terms of our family violence, child protection, and sexual offences, we maintain a comprehensive approach to address these sexual offences, from enforcement to education and community engagement. For the period under review, we were, of course, managed to arrest 1,112 sexual offenders. We presented the cases to court, 1,356, and of which we secured some conviction, 102 offenders, of which this resulted in 28 life terms. In addition to that, 900 years imprisonment. So it's a work in progress. As we know that any crime which is reported, there is a victim behind it.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes the victims are police officers. And we know with police killings as well, murders of police officers for that period under review stands at 11.
Yeah, indeed, crime has no boundaries. As I always speak to my management, that we have to be mindful that these crimes which are committed against our community, it can also be committed, against us. And I must indicate that in terms of the police killings, there are strategies which we employ as and when the police, they report on duties. There are I would say cross-checking in terms of the commanders to check whether they do have a bulletproof, are they operational ready, and do they take information from the previous relief which will inform them as to say what are the hotspots and what are the other challenges which they have been encountering during the tour of their duty before the report of duty.
Yeah, and has that aspect around how when police are responding to a crime, communities then retaliate and attack police officers, like we just seen what has happened in Westbury. Is that a concern for you as the Provincial Police Commissioner? But what is being done about it?
Yes, of course, it is a concern, but what I'm saying is that the community, they need the police, and the police need the community. We have to foster this relationship, no matter how difficult it is. The fact of the matter is you are Westbury, you are El Dorado Park, some of those areas which are affected in terms of the gangs. We know for the fact that we're having a contingency of deployment. In that particular incident, what we have been advancing is that the police happened to come across with a person who was in possession of the drugs, and ultimately, as they were trying to arrest that particular individuals, that interaction ensued. But I would say that we have used a situational approach in terms of tactical withdrawing, because should we have acted and shot at the community, currently you will find that the newsrooms or the media should have been camping in Westbury. So we have served that situation. But we are there.
But have there been any arrests, though, in Westbury?
Yeah, there was an arrest on that particular day. And as of yesterday, or the day before yesterday, we were in that space. We again got a person in possession of unlicensed firearm. As we put our workforce back there, we managed also to get this individual in possession of unlicensed firearm. So we are in that space and ensuring that we are making inroads in terms of interacting with the community. But the other thing is the community engagement. We know for the fact that we have in the community in blue in Gauteng. Community in blue in Gauteng, we're having a total of 9,000, which are across the province. And so far, town Westbury is not excluded from that. We are also having the Gauteng traffic wardens. The Gauteng traffic wardens, they are within that space. We're having your metro police. Your metro police for these major metros within the province, we're having not less than 10,000, which is a complementary workforce which we doing the collaborations and ensuring that we make sure that the communities are and they feel safe, the sense of feeling safe.
And just finally, one of the recent cases over the weekend, Lukona Fose, the 14-year-old whose mutilated body was found in an open field. What update do you have with regards to that story? This is now the incident that happened, is it City Deep? Durban Deep, sorry. The incident that happened with the 14-year-old whose body was found mutilated. Have you been able to uncover whether it was a hate crime or could have been Muti-related?
Well, we have put a formidable team in terms of the investigation, including our occult unit, which deals with the issues of the bodies which are mutilated. One can say we are pursuing in terms of the investigation, but as for now, there is no, I would say, breaking grounds in terms of that case in Sol Plaatje, Durban Deep, which is Roodepoort policing present.